All right, we have some really interesting news in the land of AI partnership. So, something that we've noticed as definitely a recurring trend is there are these AI models that are by far kind of the winners or the most powerful. And we have all these big tech companies that are trying to compete with them. So, of course, we have like the OpenAIs, we have the Anthropics. We even had Inflection's Pi and Mistral that were doing decent things, but we're definitely a little further behind as far as development goes. And um, the question was like, oh, is Google going to compete with them, or are they going to just grab the API key to OpenAI, do the easy thing, and use that? And we've kind of seen mixed results. Google obviously has went hard and just tried to develop their own thing, but other than Google, a lot of the big players have just started like using these companies. So you see like Microsoft and their partnership. I know they're doing some of their own like AI development stuff, but by and large, Bing is just powered by OpenAI. Then you have companies like Perplexity who did do some of their own AI models, but again, they're just using Anthropic and ChatGPT to like put inside of their tool. And then I think the final example, of course, is Apple, who everyone was like, oh, Apple's got this secret play that they have kind of in the works they're not telling anyone about. And then they made their big announcement and they're like, yeah, like we're doing some stuff, it's getting delayed, but we're just putting ChatGPT into Apple Intelligence. If Apple Intelligence can't answer it, you can get ChatGPT to kind of do your response for you. So it feels like even the big players who we all were like, oh, they're going to make LLMs and give some competition to ChatGPT and Anthropic and the other players, looks like even they're using them. So today we have yet again breaking news on another partnership like that, which is Amazon. Amazon, who has some AI tools, is working in this space, but doesn't really have that model that everyone uses. I guess kind of have Rufus on Amazon, but it looks like they are going to be tapping Anthropic to power their new Alexa experience. This is something Connor and I both talked about a ton, which is all of these voice assistants, the Google Assistant, the Siri, the Amazon Alexa, all of them need to be overhauled with essentially ChatGPT or these AI LLMs. It's happening. And yeah, today Amazon is announcing that they are going to be using Anthropic. I'm curious, Connor, what your take on this is.
I mean, this is huge, right? This is so first of all, who has an Alexa? Like raise your hand, right? Like I think we have like 5 in our house or something like that. And here's the really interesting thing from the standpoint of the stuff that I do at Stern and elsewhere, which is this is all like behavioral. How do you get people to use this stuff normally? Well, that Amazon has cracked that code already, right? I mean, people use their Alexa all the time. The problem is, it is, in the words of an Amazon senior executive, dumb as a rock. It just is. I mean, it gives you the weather, it gives you certain things like you can play songs. And for us, we're like, okay, that's great. We have it in our kitchen, we have it set timers, things like that. But how did Amazon develop all this technology so far in advance? And they're so far behind. It just goes to show that technology is really, really unpredictable. And in this case, they're creating this, what they're calling remarkable Alexa, which, I mean, come on, first of all. But it's going to be a subscription service. It's going to be probably $5-10 a month, something like that. It's going to be coming out, I think, in October or something like that. And you can imagine, if you've used Anthropic, if you haven't used Claude, folks, use Claude. Okay, this year on AI Applied. If you haven't used it yet, try it. It's a phenomenal at imitating voice, all that kind of stuff. And when Claude really starts having a voice, I think it's going to sound very, very natural. But if that's integrated, if that brain is integrated into Alexa, you're going to have something unbelievably powerful. Why? Because the same reason that, Google has, 92% of the search market share, and Gmail has all the market share. And the reason why, everybody has iPhones, there's just certain things that everybody has, and everybody has an Alexa. So this is a match made in heaven. Anthropic, I think over the years, my gosh, 18 months, has probably invested about $4 billion in Anthropic. They have gone all in, probably with this in mind, and also probably just to get some of Anthropic's cash. Anthropic now has an enterprise model coming out as well. But here's the thing about this that to me is just so fascinating. Will people start using this over their phone or something like this? First of all, will people pay for it? Because I don't know why they're starting to charge instantly. That seems insane to me. Why put up a barrier of $5 to $10 a month? Instead of give everybody 6 months to get used to this and then say, now we're going to try it. That seems like a really bad idea. I know it's expensive, but Amazon, come on, money to burn. So that's the part that seems odd to me. But guys, just to give you a sense, Amazon has invested so much in this. I mean, Alexa loses double digit billions a year. I mean, they lose like $10 billion a year on Alexa, but they know they have in everybody's home this voice assistant that everybody uses, and they know they have gold. So great partnership. I am puzzled by putting this price barrier because, again, they're just guessing, well, what if 10% sign up for this? There's no way they're getting 10% of people to sign up for this. So that's my problem with it. I don't know, Jaden, what are you sort of seeing on this? What's interesting to you?
Okay, so what's interesting is number one, like I think the good thing is you can continue to use the classic Alexa for free. So even if it's like, oh hey, they got this like paywall that's going to hit you with $5 or $10, that's only if you want to use their exceptional experience, which maybe it's useful. I don't know. I feel like people are sick of getting like a million like, do you want to pay $5 or $10 for your Alexa to have Anthropic when you already are paying $20 a month to have Anthropic
Right.
on your computer? Like,
Right.
at what point can you not just like, can I just link my account up and just have it sync through that? Like, is it really that special? Could I just use my phone and ask my voice assistant on my like Siri? Would that not be easier? So I feel like that might be another barrier to entry they have. I think your 6 months for free is a great idea for this. What really shocked me that I thought was quite interesting was I think they routers interviewed like 5 people for like a story they wrote on this, and all of them had to remain anonymous because they weren't authorized to talk publicly about everything going on. But they routers verified that they're legit people in the company that were working on Alexa. What they said was Amazon initially tried to use their own model. I believe it's like Amazon Titan, and they have some other
Oh
tech.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so they initially tried to use their own model, but they said it was really clunky. When you ask it, it would take like 6 or 7 seconds of listening before it could generate a reply. It just wasn't as good. And I think that's something really interesting when it comes to these AI models. People are like, "What's the moat?" I mean, if whoever has the most GPUs and can train it the fastest could just get a model. I think people really underestimate a lot of the fine tuning and people also are like, "Oh, since OpenAI came out with ChatGPT, like it hasn't really advanced that much." Like this GPT-5 that they keep teasing us with that's going to be 10 times or 100 times better, like never materialize. What's going on? I think people like underestimate how much some of these AI companies like 11 Labs and ChatGPT and OpenAI and Anthropic are putting into like all the fine details of making these things work really quickly, like lowering the latency on these things. There's so
Yeah.
much that goes into it when you have, the one of the most profitable, biggest tech companies in the world, Amazon, is unable to essentially clone or duplicate this product and have all the bells and whistles that just Anthropic has, right? So I think that's like a really key point. And I think that makes me very bullish on a lot of these companies. And that's probably also helping, companies like OpenAI as they're doing their $100 billion round of funding. These are probably things that they're saying and they're bringing up. It's like they've been working on the fine details now. They've been polishing for the last, year. And because of that, it doesn't necessarily always make it so that it's like better for direct to consumer use immediately, but it does they've been polishing a lot of the stuff that makes it so much better for the corporate side. And one last thing on that is, speaking with developers, my own developers, and on my own products, they love certain companies and they hate certain companies, the AI companies, when we're integrating it into our tech, just based off of their API availability, just based off of like how easy it is for developers to integrate some of this tech. And so I think Anthropic and OpenAI are doing a great job, and others are struggling, like Amazon.
Yeah, this is a question then for you because um, I think a lot of Jaden has a company AI Box, which is no code and just takes a lot of different tools. And the one of the appeals of it is that you can take a lot of different kinds of tools, choose the tools you want to do workflows and things like that in your company. I mean, so Jaden has a little bit of a unique perspective on that. So I'm just wondering, from your point of view, right? I think AWS has, Q or whatever it's called, and that's, one of these things that will navigate their cloud and all that. It basically it's we have our chat GPTs, we have all these other things, but when AWS and when Apple and when some other big companies that I won't name build their own, it's just not as good. I mean, it's okay. And for people who are just going to live in that ecosystem, it's better than it was, and they don't want to go out and find a new tool. But I'm not sure how far away we are from just seeing. I mean, I don't know if Amazon like buys Anthropic or something like that, because I think that would run them, $75 billion or something like that, or $100 billion to buy that company. But we've seen sort of with Apple, using Google for a long time, and clearly, you'd kind of think that Apple would build out their own product, but it's sort of like, when you're getting a house, like rent versus buy, and it seems like you definitely want to buy, but sometimes, you just want that house by the lake and you can't afford to buy it, but you can afford to rent it. So I guess one of the things I'm thinking is, nobody's ever going to be worried about Amazon not doing the right thing, or not, having the best product, all that kind of stuff out there for what people are normally used to. But in a year or so, people are going to be much more invested in this, and they're going to start migrating to tools that just perform better. And Anthropic just performs better. So I think that this is a great thing right now. But from the vantage point of like AI box, what is your interest, just from a purely sort of like selfish interest? Are you more interested in sort of like having more competition? Are you more interested in having, Anthropic be like one giant competitor to OpenAI and Gemini? Like, how do you see the future in terms of AI box and everything else? Like, do you see a lot of different models like this, or is it going to
Yeah.
be, I mean, with AWS and Anthropic coming together, that's huge consolidation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me, like what I want to see is thousands of models that are very specifically good at doing different things. And I think we're moving there, but you're going to see these big generalized models that are good at doing everything. The ones that have been around the longest. And so I think for a lot of things, you're going to see ChatGPT, Anthropic, Google Gemini, that are kind of being the winners. I do think that Amazon eventually is going to get their Titan model. They're going to have enough time, resources, money to make their Titan model seriously compete. And if
Yeah.
they already have all this distribution, they're just going to hot swap Anthropic out. So I think Anthropic can't really count on that revenue forever. Same thing with ChatGPT and Apple Intelligence. Apple's going to hot swap them out with their own thing. So I think we will start to get more diversified from the big tech players. And then I think we already are seeing with the open source community a lot of models that are just trained for very specific things off of custom data sets that no one else has access to. Um, and I also think that even on the bigger models, Anthropic versus OpenAI, we're seeing like Anthropic is kind of taking a lead on for coders and what they like to do for coding problems. And OpenAI might be better for other things. So I think that like Inflections Pi might have had a better tone, whatever. So I think
Yeah.
overall, it's good to have all the different players, and inevitably different ones will be slightly better at different tasks, and so you'll kind of use them for that. That might even be something that we see more and more dramatically in the future. I'd be curious to see how that goes, right? If they kind of lean into like one angle, or if they become less dramatic of a difference, right? Maybe as they're trying to get bigger and get more market share, they're just trying to be the best at everything. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. But I definitely think we're going to see a lot more startups and a lot more AI models as we kind of move forward. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Don't, yeah. I'm with you. I don't sleep on the wrappers. I mean, I think sometimes people just say like, oh, and when we say wrapper, we just mean, kind of a tool built on top of one of these foundation models that everybody says, oh, OpenAI is going to crush it because you've come up with your little thing about Excel, but then OpenAI is going to come up with it and then you're going to be out of business. But those little wrappers can really make a big impact on user experience. And I think user experience is going to be pretty much everything. Anyway, amazing, amazing topic.
Thank you so much to everyone that has tuned into the podcast today. If you are interested in starting your very own podcast, I have just launched a podcast course. Everything I've learned over the last 5 years of podcasting and getting over 4 million downloads on my podcasts. If you're interested in doing that, I'll leave a link in the description. I would love to have you join the course. I think it's one of the best investments I ever made professionally, time-wise, financially, was starting a podcast, really setting myself apart in my industry. It's helped me do so many things and meet so many incredible people. So I think, obviously I'm biased, but I think everyone should start a podcast, and I would love for you to do that as well, and set yourself apart. So you can check out the link in the description, and I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day.